Hello and welcome back. So glad you've tuned in, and today I'm here with a couple of stories. So let's get straight into this. So there have been some news stories. Kensington Palace released an unexpected statement saying that Catherine had undergone abdominal surgery and would be away from royal duties for months. And less than 2 hours later, Buckingham Palace issued their own surprise announcement about the King's health, saying that King Charles has sought treatment for an enlarged prostate. So of course, a lot of people have been covering this. This has been all over the news, and I'm going to start off here by saying that we wish all of them a speedy recovery. We wish them well. So there's been a lot of people asking how it's possible that both the statements were made on the same day. Was it a coordinated decision by the royal household? A lot of questions have been coming up. But let's focus here on King Charles's announcement. So according to an article here I'm reading, they say here, to provide context, the royal family tried to keep details of their health as private as possible. However, when they are forced to cancel public engagements or when a senior royal is admitted to hospital, the public is generally informed in some form. For example, when Prince Philip had an abdominal operation in 2013, it was announced that he had been admitted to the hospital in advance of surgery. And when Queen Elizabeth had knee surgery in 2003, a statement was released by the palace afterward about the, quote, minor operation. So they talk about what happened with Catherine, her surgery, and they said her team decided in advance to make the announcement after it had taken place. And then when it comes to the announcement of King Charles, the impression is that the decision to announce it was hastier and as a result of having to postpone meetings at the last minute on advice. So he had a series of meetings and events planned at Dumfries House on Thursday and Friday. Guests, including foreign dignitaries and members of cabinet, were due to travel, and the palace had to make people aware of that situation. So there has been a huge question being asked right now because, of course, remember, King Charles wanted a slimmed down monarchy. It has really put a lot of focus right now on articles that are coming out asking who are the 7 royals who stand in for King Charles when he is in hospital. So according to walesonline.co.uk, they say there is a list of royals who can take the king's place should he be abroad or unwell. The news was announced by Buckingham Palace on Wednesday afternoon that King Charles is set to visit hospital next week to have treatment for an enlarged prostate, as I said before, and the palace said that Charles's condition was benign and that he would be having a corrective procedure. His engagements will be postponed for a short period of recuperation. And now the question is, with Kate in hospital, also recovering, and her announcement has said that it will be for months. She's expected to stay in the hospital for about 2 weeks before recovering at home, and she's not expected to return to public life for months. While Prince William will also postpone engagements to be by her side. So that's according to Wales Online. In respect to Charles, there has not yet been a scenario where other members of the royal family have had to stand in for him, but his impending hospital visit begs the question of what would happen if it was needed. There are currently 7 councillors of state, members of the royal family, who can deputize for the monarch if he is abroad or unwell. This includes the Duke of Sussex, who lives in California after stepping down as a working royal. And of course, the others named are Prince William, Harry, Andrew, Princess Beatrice. However, only working members of the royal family will be called upon to act as councillors of state. Now, people have been asking, what does that mean for the Duke of Sussex, who lives in the United States? By law, councillors of state are required to have a UK domicile, but Harry has no address in the UK after stepping back from official duties. And of course, they took back Frogmore Cottage. So speaking about the king, the statement from Buckingham Palace said, quote, in common with thousands of men each year, the king has sought treatment for an enlarged prostate. His Majesty's condition is benign and he will attend hospital next week for a corrective procedure. The king's public engagements will be postponed for a short period of recuperation, end quote. So what does that mean right now for the Duke of Sussex? Let's see, because according to this article, Kate will not be having any public engagements for months. And, King Charles, they say it will be a short period, but who can really know how much that is? And William has also postponed his engagements to be by Catherine's side. And remember, the monarchy is so slimmed down. So the list of the current counselors of state are: first, Camilla, William, Harry, Andrew, Princess Beatrice, and Prince Edward and Princess Royal. As I said before, Harry, Beatrice, and Andrew do not perform any royal duties, and they say that should any of the above be ineligible in any way to serve in that position, the next person would be Princess Eugenie. So of course, for now, I think a lot of things must be going on behind the scenes to ensure that those who are able to carry out royal functions on behalf of King Charles will be in place to do that. But of course, as I said before, they have slimmed down that monarchy, and even Princess Anne, with how much she carries out in a calendar year, and people say that she is so hardworking. I think that even she has admitted in the past that she was not totally on board with that slimmed down monarchy, and now we might get to see why that is. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I don't want to speculate right here, but I'm sure the palace is really working behind the scenes to get people to stand in for Charles and Kate. Charles and where he's needed. So let me know your thoughts. Do you think that they might call on Prince Harry to do anything? I would like to know your thoughts in the comment section below. We'll also have a poll running with this video. I would like to know your thoughts. So on to the next story, where we've been seeing a lot of news concerning Lilibet's name, and I will get into that. We are going to have a very interesting conversation about that. But today on Good Morning Britain, there was this update on this story where it seems the author of that book is walking back those statements in light of how they have been received by the public. A lot of mockery has been going on. A lot of you were saying you noticed him walking back and modifying the statement about the Queen being angered about the Lilibet naming thing. So the individual called Robert Hardman said that, basically to paraphrase, he said that the Queen was not angry per se about them calling their daughter Lilibet, that the anger came from, and let me get his quote. He said, quote, "That was the source of the anger, the handling of the naming, not the naming itself," end quote. So in reference to Prince Harry and Meghan engaging their lawyers to send out a cease and desist to the newspapers that had, that were trying to suggest that they had given the name Lilibet without the Queen's blessing. You can tell now that's all changed. So it is so interesting. People are wondering about what is going on here. He himself said that the Queen did not like people putting words in her mouth, yet all this hoopla has come from an unnamed source, a palace source, saying that the Queen was as angry as that individual had ever seen her concerning the name Lilibet. So watching him, it was obvious to see he was backtracking his statement. Now he's saying it's not about the name, but the handling of it. And I think that this right now is going to cause a lot of journalists to really, think twice about taking these quotes from unnamed or palace sources, because we have seen this happen time and time again, where we've heard two separate stories coming out back to back, and people are wondering, so which is it, right? For example, just take a look at these two stories. So which is it? Here we can see it is written concerning the Windsor walkabout, where we had William, Kate, Harry and Meghan reunited. We can see a story here where, by the same author, he said that, this quote, "Prince William personally arranged Windsor walkabout with Prince Harry after the late Queen's death." And this is a quote, "It was very much William's idea." End quote. This was quoting one of Prince William's closest advisors. So that was published this year on January the 13th, 2024. But just a couple of years ago, on 12th September 2022, this was a story by The Mirror. Quote, "King Charles ordered warring William and Harry to reunite to remember the Queen." End quote. So that's their title right there. So that's another version. And then we have another version here. According to People magazine, quote, "According to Kensington Palace, Prince William invited his brother and sister-in-law to join them, but it was Kate who came up with the idea." Quote, she didn't want her or William to have any regrets, end quote, a friend of Kate's told People, end quote. So as you can see, I'm just hoping that this causes people to really take a lot of these unnamed sources and palace insider quotes with that huge pinch of salt, because it's truly becoming, in some instances, really turning out to be like the game of telephone where one person tells one person and tells one person, and at the end, the original message is totally unrecognizable. And in this case, it's just different versions, which also makes us wonder why a lot of things that just come out there are taken as the absolute truth. Prince Harry said that he would never use unnamed sources. Anything that he spoke about would come from his mouth. He would not be using, underhanded tactics to get his message across. So I'm just hoping a couple of you out there will truly think about some of these stories that come out from those palace insiders or sources, and ask yourselves, what is the actual truth, without just taking it all in and being spoon-fed stories as if they are fact. So I just had to add that in here. All this hoopla from an unnamed source saying that the Queen was as angry as that individual had ever seen her concerning the name Lilibet. So yes, we've seen a lot of furor about that, and we're going to cover that. So let's just go straight into that. Now, moving on to this one, I think we've all seen this in the press, and I have been watching, just observing how this has been playing out, and it is quite sad how they have weaponized the name Lilibet. And while it's been sad, there has been an aspect of this that has emerged that, I am going to be honest, has made a lot of people online just giggle. And to be quite honest, I've had quite a good laugh. So let's quickly touch on this, not to amplify the story because it's already been out there, but I just want to give an interesting angle that has been making me just laugh, and I'm sure a couple of you online as well. So as we know, that royal drama, in quotes, over the name Lilibet has been dominating some segments of the press. And I love how the article here puts it. It says this, quote, when you imagine what might have angered Queen Elizabeth II in her final years, a few options spring to mind. A naughty corgi chewing the handle of her long-cherished Launer handbag, perhaps. Existential angst about the ravages of old age. Even a profound frustration with her scandal-embroiled son, Andrew. But according to a new book by a longtime journalist reporting on the royal family, Queen Elizabeth was made, quote, incandescent with rage by, wait for it, one of her grandchildren naming their baby in her honor. So that was just a quick summary, and we've seen the headlines. This is a couple, I'm just going to read them off here. Quote, royal family anguish over Lilibet name controversy, end quote. Another one, quote, Queen angered, in quotes, by Sussex's using Lilibet, end quote. Late Queen infuriated, in quotes, by Harry and Meghan's claim over the fact that she'd approved them naming their daughter Lilibet, end quote. And it goes on, and I love the one that has made me just laugh out loud is the one by the Daily Mail. My gosh. They say this, quote, this is what allegedly the Queen said, quote, I don't own the palaces or the paintings, only my name, and now they've taken that, end quote. Clutching pearls for sure. Now, oh my gosh, I was just in giggles over this, and how so many of you, a lot of your analysis on that online has just been so hilarious. I love some people giving it that tone, that clutching pearls tone, like this, imagining that this is how she allegedly said it, quote, I don't own the palaces or the paintings, only my name, and now they've taken that, end quote. What? Oh my gosh, what an own goal this was. I think that if they wanted this to make Harry and Meghan look bad, even Newsweek.com is starting to acknowledge that because of the coverage online, and a couple of you just making up stories under the title a palace source or something like that. Can you imagine such meaningless drivel that someone would put out there, that a grandmother would be incandescent? By that word, incandescent, they love that word. I'm just thinking of incandescent. They just love that word. And it's so funny to me because they tend to really regurgitate that word when they talk about how Harry and Meghan have made people there feel. I mean, they're just going to go around all the spectrum of light emission out there. What next? Phosphorant, refulgent, glowing, dazzling. At this point, they might as well just go around the whole spectrum. It's so ridiculous. And a lot of you online have been just laughing about this and pointing out that first and foremost, it's weird. It's such a weird flex. And they've put that out there about the Queen. And this will make you laugh. This is an old article that was published on April the 6th, 1931. And I'm just waiting for the palace source on this to say how the Queen really felt about this, you know. So this article says, the stables of His Majesty the King and Emperor announced last week that George V is entering 30 horses to race this year in various British classics. One of these beasts, a spry little filly, has been named Lilibet. The article goes on to say, it is believed, said the spokesman for the royal stables, that this name has reference to His Majesty's elder granddaughter, the Princess Elizabeth of York, of course, talking of the Queen. So I'm just waiting for the palace source to give us the deets on how, you know, how allegedly the Queen felt about horses, also sharing her beloved nickname. So it's weird. It's so weird right now. And I'm so happy a couple of you pointed out that she obviously shared that very special name with a horse. So how much more her own great-granddaughter, right? So that is just so ridiculous right there again. And I love how a couple of you pointed out that I guess the Lilibets have to gather together because now we know how, according to alleged palace sources, how the Queen feels about people having that name. And approximately there are about 1,874 people who have that name. So I'm guessing they're just gonna have to, you know, to change it. I mean, we've all heard how, according to palace sources, the Queen feels about people sharing that very precious name. So, you know, they're gonna have to change that. And also back to that Daily Mail headline where she apparently talked about not owning anything except the name, and they took that. Are we supposed to believe that she was just prattling around the castles in full self-pity mode? And I love how this is a quote by some of you online. This made me just laugh. This is what this person by the handle blah blah 542356665 said, quote, Betty, who owned half of Scotland, Cullinan Diamond's prized horses, just to name a few, was rattling around the palace pretending to be a pauper? Pull the other one. This one has bells on, end quote. What? And yes, I also posted this. It is so strange that the individual who wrote this, or who allegedly gave this information, did not take into account the wealth that the Queen had. And this is according to an ABC News article which asked, how much wealth does the royal family have and where does it come from? So this article says, according to Fortune, quote, the largest source of wealth for the royal family is the Crown Estate, a large portfolio of assets valued at $192 billion, according to a report from the Crown Estate. The Crown Estate includes more than 191,000 acres of rural land, including the famed Windsor Castle, as well as retail and leisure businesses and high-end London properties. The net worth of Elizabeth, not including the wealth of the monarch as a whole, stands in the hundreds of millions, but the exact figure remains shrouded in mystery, since the House of Windsor does not release information on her total assets. Fortune estimates Elizabeth's net worth at $500 million, while experts Mark McClure in his 2020 book, The Queen's True Worth, pegged her assets at $468 million. And the article goes on to say Elizabeth derived her personal wealth from expensive goods like jewelry and art, as well as investment holdings and real estate. Her portfolio of privately held real estate include Balmoral Castle in Scotland and Sandringham House in England, end quote. So back to that point, are we supposed to believe, according to this report, that a woman who owned all of this somehow thought she only owned her name? Yeah, that one is just Pinocchio with bells and whistles on. So, and yes, back to that point, all the things that angered her, that made her, quote, angry, incandescent, and all those colors of the spectrum. Some people pointed out that the thing that upset her the most in all those years was not the passing of her husband, her beloved husband. No, not that. Not the decommissioning of the royal yacht, which she loved. I think she even shed a tear for that in public. No, not that. Not paying £12 million on behalf of Andrew to someone he had never met. No, that did not make her incandescent. What made her incandescent, according to that report, was Lilibet having her name. So wow, I mean, what an own goal this has been for palace insiders and palace sources. For those of you who have just been online, just making up all kind of tittle tattle under the banner Palace Insider or Palace Source. I just love what you've been doing, talking about things that have never happened. And you know, it's strange. Of course, according to that report, that a palace staff member, quote, privately recalled that Elizabeth II had been as angry as I'd ever seen her, in quotes, after the Sussexes announced the name Lilibet. We even have Newsweek going back to the initial backlash. And remember, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex refuted that report at that time that tried to suggest that they had named their daughter Lilibet without consulting the Queen, and their spokesperson gave out a statement saying, quote, "The Duke spoke with his family in advance of the announcement. In fact, his grandmother was the first family member he called. During that conversation, he shared their hope of naming their daughter Lilibet in her honor. Had she not been supportive, they would not have used the name," end quote. So that was their statement, and it was backed by Giles Brandreth's 2022 biography, Elizabeth, that gave a different account suggesting that the Queen took the name as a compliment. And it also noted that she, the Queen, quote, accepted their choice with a good grace and felt the shorter Lily seemed just right, end quote. So anyway, this article goes on to say that needless, the Queen was famous in Britain for keeping her opinions private. And can you imagine her telling her staff to brief that she was, quote, incandescent about that? That is just absolutely such an own goal for these palace sources and insiders. So all of this has just been so funny. It has made a lot of you to mock those palace insiders' narratives. And a lot of you have been saying that perhaps this might be a distraction, because, you know, the one who has claimed he was not sweating for a time there has been in the press for a minute. And, you know, we're not falling for this, but this has just been so funny, you know. Anyway, Andrew, we're going to keep the focus on the truth and a lot of people being held to account. And this has just been so funny. And anyway, all in all, we are looking forward to seeing the Duke of Sussex getting his award that is coming up. And we are so excited for that. And by the way, when I've been covering this, I've been looking back on Prince Harry reflecting on the Queen meeting Lilibet for the first time. And he did write this. This is quite poignant. Let me just add this here. Prince Harry reflected on first meetings with Queen Elizabeth in his tribute, and he honored the monarch and reflected and referenced moments with his grandmother that he said he would cherish. He said this in his tribute to Queen Elizabeth II on her passing. He said this, quote, "Granny, while this final parting brings us great sadness, I am forever grateful for all our first meetings. From my eldest childhood memories with you, to meeting you for the first time as my commander-in-chief, to the first moment you met my darling wife and hugged your beloved great-grandchildren," end quote. And isn't that sweet? As we know, during the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebration, the Queen met Harry and Meghan's daughter Lilibet for the first time. And also Prince Harry talked about the children meeting his grandmother, and he talked about Archie making deep, chivalrous bows and his sister Lilibet cuddling the monarch's shins, and Queen Elizabeth said, "sweetest children," in quotes. And he also spoke about how she was, kind of amused by how polite they were. So it's interesting, according to these palace insiders, they would have you think that she was gritting through her teeth, meeting her namesake. What an own goal. What absolute nonsense has been in the press. So it's safe to say that this has backfired, and we've seen that happening time and time again, where some people have tried to, quote, set up Prince Harry and Meghan and having that just totally backfire. We know what happened with the book that had the Sandhurst alumni named, and Harry was left out, only for the Duke of Sussex to have such a massive award, which, as I've said, is on the horizon. We're so looking forward to that. And this, once again, it just seems to backfire on those who meant this for evil against Harry and Meghan and their precious Lilibet. It's just gone to show how petty and out of touch some of that briefing is there in that palace. And Harry and Meghan and the children are quite safe from it. So I'm so happy to those of you who've been calling this out. It has been so cool to watch. And I just had to share this here so we can have a good laugh together. So share your thoughts on that in the comments section. As always, before we log off, allow me here to thank those of you who support this channel financially. A very special thank you to you, and I'd like to shout you out by name. A very special thank you to you. Verbena New Year, thank you so much. You are so special and dear, and thank you so much for supporting my work here through your giving. You mean so much to me. Thank you. Thank you as well to Anna Thorne, who's been such a long-time supporter of this channel. You have been such a tremendous boost and a blessing to my work here. Thank you so very much. I appreciate you and value you and love you. Thank you, Anna. Thank you as well to you. You go by the handle Bunny. You have been such a faithful giver to my work, and I appreciate you for your kindness and love that you've shown to me. Thank you, thank you. And now a very special thank you to those of you who gave during the last live. Thank you to Bonnie. You go by the handle B10Pal. You have been such a huge blessing to this channel. I appreciate your love and your giving to my work. Many thanks to you. Allow me here to express how much I love you for being so considerate and caring. Thank you. Thank you as well to you, Black Queen, who once again, you go above and beyond in your support for my work. Thank you for choosing to accompany me here on this YouTube journey. And I just want to say thank you so much for your thoughtfulness and for always being a blessing. You are such a blessing to all of us here on this channel. Thank you, Black Queen. And now a very special thank you to those who gave through Super Thanks. A very special thank you to you. Alma Andrews, thank you so much for giving through Super Thanks. Thank you so much. I'm so happy and blessed to know you, and you've been so generous and kind and loving and supportive. You are such a blessing. Thank you for your gift. God bless you. Once again, share all your thoughts on these stories below. I love you all. And if you liked this one, give it a thumbs up. Click that subscribe button. Let YouTube know you enjoyed this video. I love you all and have a great day, and I will catch you in the next one. Have a blessed one.